Hello everybody, I'd like to welcome you to this little DIY crafting demonstration. In this video I'm making butterflies. Well, actually it's just the wing. It's actually a polymer clay cane that can be sliced into thin sheets, reduced into different sizes and stuff. In this video I show you everything I did to do this, which is over 40 gigabytes of HD video, which I went through and picked out all the good stuff and put it into time lapse for you to enjoy. So if you were ever considering to do a butterfly cane but didn't know how to start, this should be a good starting point for people, and I do hope it helps everybody. Well, without further ado, let's get started. I wanted to take a minute to show you this thing I did right here first before we start with the clay. A butterfly is a symmetrical creature. It's pretty much the same on both sides. And whenever there's a situation like that, you can always take a piece of computer paper, fold it in half, and then draw half of your image along the seam where you folded it. And once you get half the image drawn, all you have to do is just fold it back up, and then take something really hard and rub it real quick, and it should push the graphite on from the side that you drew to the other side. You can't really see it in this video because the lines are too faint, but I can see them. So this way I can actually make a symmetrical image while only having to focus on half of it. This could be an advantage for somebody, instead of trying to draw both sides. Right there was an area where I couldn't see it really well, so I just fold it back up and then rub it again in that area. If that doesn't work, you just add more graphite pencil lead or whatever to the other side. I don't know. I just thought this might help some people. If you want to design your own butterfly, this would be the best way to go about it. Give you a little guide. Any project should have some kind of guide. So here up next, I'll be making these two pieces of clay you see right here. And you see how it fits in this little design? So this works good. This is the clay I'm using. This is turquoise. And of course I got white and black. They're all about 4 ounces a piece is what I used in this video. I didn't have much of this turquoise, so what I'm doing is I'm going to be making a Skinner blend using the blue and the white. This will double my amount of clay that I'm going to have for the main color of this butterfly. So these are my two colors. Like I just said, I'm going to be making a Skinner blends of these two colors. I got me some rolled out here on the pasta machine on the thickest setting. I didn't actually film doing these Skinner blends, but I did show you how I got everything set up. I think that's important that you see the actual blends themselves before they go into the pasta machine. You saw what I just did right there? You can cut your Skinner blend in half long ways and fold it and then send it through the pasta machine just like this. I don't know, it might be easier than trying to fold that thing. So this is what it looks like when you do a Skinner blend. It's completely finished. I got one of them here so you can see it done. Like I said, I didn't finish this, but here later you'll see me doing a little bit of a little more work with a Skinner blend with the little yellow eye to this butterfly. But I'll leave a link at the end of the video to a 16-minute video I did on Skinner blends at the end of this video, and I'll leave it in the video description. It is a really good video. If you need to learn how to do a Skinner blend, I recommend it. So what I'm doing here is I roll these Skinner blends up along the direction of the narrow end. You want all the color to stay in the same direction. Otherwise, if you roll it up the other way, it'll just be like a jelly roll, so to speak. And once I roll it up, I slowly work it by pushing in from the outer edges. The outer ends I push inwards. I'm trying to make it shorter and basically gather all the clay up into a one little amount. And I do two of them the same way, and I'm pushing them together where the colors are matched. This is actually called joining. It's kind of hard to see that though, because it's not some elaborate image. It's just a Skinner blend. I'm joining the white end with the white end and the blue end with the blue end. What this is doing is it's giving me a big Skinner blend. And I did this way because I think it would be a lot easier to work with 4 smaller Skinner blends than try to do 2 really big ones. The more control you have of what you're doing, the lot better off you are. So that's how I got these 2 pieces right here. It is a Skinner blend of the turquoise and the white. So now I'm just taking my dotting tool right here, and I'm going to be using this to draw on the design that you see me do at the beginning of the video. What I'm really doing here is, instead of using individual repeated Skinner blends for each cell of the butterfly, I wanted to do one really big Skinner blend and break it up to where the actual fade is distributed over several pieces, which is how an actual butterfly really is in real life. It's not all the little sections of color on a butterfly wing are not individual little Skinner blends. I think this will make it a little more technical and make it look a little more realistic. But here they are, all etched up and ready to be cut out individually, and so on and so forth. What I'm doing it now is I'm cutting them out. I'm using my tissue slicer. I got the handle on one side, and I took the handle off on the other, and I'm holding it by the handle of one hand. You can't see it, it's off camera. You see what I'm doing right there with the dotting tool? I made a dot on each piece that's on the closest part of where the head is of the butterfly, basically. So on each part, I've just poked it at the closest point where that piece sits towards the head of the... This will help me maintain orientation of these pieces. It should be pretty obvious because it's a Skinner blend. The white pieces will be over on the white area and the blue will be over in the blue area. But you can never be too sure about what you're doing. It just gives me a bearing point on how all these pieces are supposed to, line back up together. But I just take each individual piece and I trim it up, trying to stay true to the markings I made. And then I roll it a little bit to kind of even it out and make it really nice and clean. But I'm emphasizing more on trimming it with my knife than I am trying to roll it and shape it that way, because I don't want to distort anything. So here it is, all lined up and looking pretty similar to my design anyways. This right here is actually an alternate scene that I recorded at a different angle. It's a side view, 3/4 overhead view. I didn't really like it as much as I did as the other scene. I just thought this would be nice to include this as a different vantage point. Maybe you can pick up something in this scene that you couldn't in the other one because of the viewing angle. This video is very long though compared to my other videos, so I'm able to actually do multiple scenes like this and stuff. I wanted to include everything that I did in this and try not to take much of it out, because as a viewer, if people are going to actually be trying to follow this and make a butterfly on their own, I don't want to leave them hanging like, wow, okay, well, what happened here? Or I didn't quite see that well. I wish you would have did it in a different angle. So anyways, I just wanted to show you briefly at this camera angle. I'm just doing the exact same thing you just see me do. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next part from here. So let's skip on ahead. Okay, this is that other Skinner blend that I was mentioning earlier about that I was going to show you. It's the yellow eye, the one single yellow piece that's on this, and I'm showing you how I constructed that Skinner blend. It gets weird towards the end there because I wanted to extend the brown area, and by brown I mean gold. That's yellow, canary yellow, and gold, which are two really good colors. They came together really good, and I really liked them. Now what you're seeing now is every time I pulled it out of the deposit machine, I laid it down right there and I folded it in half. So the particular type of editing I do, I'm just showing you that scene, I'm deleting everything else, and you're just seeing it slowly take its blend there right before your eyes. Like I mentioned, this is not a very thorough explanation on how to do a Skinner blend. I'll leave a link to the video I made already for Skinner blends at the end. But for now, it's off to the pasta machine. So yeah, I just ran that through the pasta machine on the thinnest setting to make it out really long. Next I roll this up starting with the yellow end and ending with the darker end. And I didn't quite like it because it wasn't very noticeable, so I added another sheet of yellow on the outside, which gives it a bullseye effect, and I think it really set off that piece, if you ask me. Okay, right here I'm cutting strips of black. I do believe this was set to setting 2 or maybe 3. I'm not quite sure, and I apologize for that. But I'm taking each one of these pieces and I'm wrapping the black. I cut them as wide as those pieces are. I'm just wrapping them by hand. If you roll it over and press it down onto the black on black, it'll leave a mark where you should cut and everything. But when I was considering on how thick to cut these strips, one thing that I was thinking about was however thick it is, there's going to be another piece right next to it which will double the thickness. I didn't want them to be too far apart, too much black in between. So I went with a thinner setting because I knew that they were gonna double up and everything. But I'm taking all these pieces and I'm wrapping them. It's pretty simple. There's nothing complicated here. Right there were some areas where there was quite a bit of a gap, so I just rolled some tiny black snakes and put them in there to kind of take up some of that void, because if I don't, once I reduce them, this will distort. All that clay will collapse and fill in those spaces, and it won't quite look, how I intended it to. To reduce the distortion, I just add those little tiny snakes to take up some of that void. Probably could have did even better than what I did. But I go through and I do all the other pieces to where they're all done, and then I start doing little pieces. I just did the little yellow piece. I put 2 layers around it because I wanted it separated from everything a little bit further. As I went out towards the outer edge, I actually started using more and more black to try to disperse the color, so to speak, to where it kind of just breaks out into black. So now I'm taking some of the scrap pieces that I got from when I was cutting all those pieces, trimming them up. Some of the little pieces I was trimming were large, and I saved them. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just taking one of those strips of black and I'm just feeding those pieces in. They're all random colors from that Skinner blend. And I fed them all in there and rolled it up. And then I'm reducing that into about long enough to give me like 8 equal slices. So I can take and put it down there at the bottom of the butterfly. And what it does is it gives me these little small blue details in that black at the bottom. Now for the outer part of the wing, I just take some more of the little blues and whites and stuff, and I wrap them up, just little pieces of color, adding it there to just kind of match the other, what I just did on the other side. And filling out, building it out wherever I can with the black. Right here I'm trying to butt these together, and they didn't go together very well until I took one of the pieces off. I don't know what happened, but once I took one of those pieces off, they both fit real nice together. So I'm like, oh well, it's like one of those deals where you fix something and you get like a couple screws left over and maybe a spring, but it still works. I don't know, it's working. So moving on here. Yeah, just finishing out the outer edge, adding larger sheets of clay here and there to try to basically smooth and even that up on the outer edge. You also see me a couple times now probably taking the side of a tool and pushing in. I'm trying to remove all that air without destroying the actual shapes of these pieces. That's the trick. Okay, moving on to the final part of this video. We are almost there. You guys almost made it. This is the reducing. This is the dreadful reducing part of the polymer clay cane. A lot of people do not like this part. It's hard for a lot of people, but the best I can do is just show you what I'm doing and explain a little bit. I'm working with these pieces individually, and I'm pinching in pushing in the same direction of the shape of it. Like in other words, I'm pushing on flat areas of it. I'm not like trying to lose the shape of it, but I'm trying to see how right there how that one is now bigger or taller than the other. It's becoming reduced. It's where you basically, it's the same shape but smaller, and it becomes a longer tube like. Super easy when you're doing round objects. And what I'm doing is I'm doing one part of this wing at a time. Right now I'm working on that other piece to try to bring it up to speed on the, to bring it up to the other side, the other part. Just doing one at a time. And you see me cutting little pieces off. As you reduce this, the image distorts really bad on the end, on both ends, and it's hard to see what the image looks like. This can be really critical when it comes to lining these up and finally pressing them together like I'm doing now. Now I've done basically joined those into one piece again. I'm reducing them all into one item. And I keep cutting a little bit off so I can see that image and see how it looks. Now listen guys, I'm not going to lie. Reducing this butterfly was really hard. It wasn't hard like physically, it was like stressful. There was one point where I thought that I was gonna lose the image and I was kind of panicking. But the more I worked with this, the more I was reducing, the more it just came along. Now you see what I just did there. I just cut a couple slices and you just butt them up together. Every time you slice, it'll be the same thing. That's the beauty of polymer clay canes, and there's so many things you could do with this clay. And then I just take a black ball of clay and I make it into like a cylinder, cut that in half, and that's the body. And right there I just cut a detail into the wings. Where that extra black was, it seemed like it was a little thick there. Well, I wanted to remove a little bit of the black, but actually give it some kind of like a profile detail. And I thought that was a good solution, to just kind of etch those details into that wing like that. But this is not a full out butterfly cane. This is actually a butterfly wing cane. I do hope this has helped you guys at least a little, or at the least maybe it was entertaining for you. Please like this video. It helps me a ton. And I really, really love it when you guys do that. It means a lot. I really thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Here are those links to those other videos I was telling you about. It is the Skinner blend video, and I'll actually give you a link to another polymer clay cane video I did. Please subscribe if you haven't already. It would mean the world to me. Visit my channel. I have other crafting projects. It would be awesome if you check those out. So until next time, thank you so much for watching. I will see you here again soon.